So I'm not back at the beach. I am in Orange County. This can't wait for me to get back to the beach where I've been residing. This is too important. I am holding a petition. It's not just for Orange County, it is for all of California. And many of you saw how on the prior petition, a dumb act by Gavin Newsom in the legislature about the food industry, how I needed 5 videos to help justify why we were opposing this. I need only one. And indeed, you need less than 1 paragraph of this one. This is the oil and gas prohibition of drilling in population areas of California, which is almost everywhere in California. This silly enactment by the legislature and signed by Gavin Newsom in September would make drilling minuscule in this state. People who wanted to drill anew would go through an exceptionally excruciating permitting process, probably to be denied, couldn't even start if you're more than or you're less than a kilometer from a school, a home, or a hospital. Okay, those are sacrosanct areas. Suddenly, even though there's been drilling in abundance from underneath and next to all of these places. But the environmental lobby and some donors got to the legislature once again. So if this goes through, and this ballot, this initiative will hopefully stop it in January 2023. If this goes through, wait for fuel prices of home heating oil, of gasoline to skyrocket. In California, they're high enough, but get ready for $8 per gallon gasoline. Get ready for everything else to go up because the trucks needed to get food and to get supplies and products everywhere else will be much more expensive because of high gas prices. So it doesn't take much reading of this, and I have read the whole thing, but you can stop, as I did, at paragraph 1. Because here is what paragraph 1 says, and it's sufficient to let you know that the people behind this are not sincere about really protecting people's health. They're not. Okay? Ready? Paragraph 1. There are 640 lines, by the way. All you need is lines 2 through 7. And I will read them. The legislature finds that a growing body of research shows direct health impacts from proximity to oil extraction. These impacts are disproportionately impacting Black, Indigenous, and people of color in California who are most likely to live in close proximity to oil extraction activities. 3 problems with that. One more phrase. And those same Black, Indigenous, people of color are the most vulnerable to the negative impacts of climate change. Stop right there. When people bring up the research shows and don't cite it, which nothing does here anyway, they are likely cherry picking or even fabricating research. Cherry picking is not that hard when there's so many funded studies out there, 1 or 2 of which are bound to be with wacky conclusions. Well, this one is absolutely wacky. Reason 1, that an oil derrick affects Black people more harmfully than white and Asian and Latino and Arabian people. Come on, okay? I bounced this off of 3 African Americans here, and they laughed at this. The ludicrousness and maybe even the condescension to be using color as a pawn, okay? So many of us are still sympathetic to predations. Most of them were 50 and 60 years ago, but some lingering effects upon African Americans. This ain't one of them. Charles Barkley grew up near an oil derrick. He's doing fine, okay? Black people are not disproportionately affected if there is a bad effect at all. And here's why there's almost certainly no harmful long-term, probably nothing even short-term effects. Ready? Maybe the most prominent oil derricks are found on the campus of Beverly Hills High School. Yes, in the middle of Los Angeles, California, adjacent to and with some drilling underneath the grounds of Beverly Hills High School, have operated, they just capped them fairly recently, but for 26 years, operated up to 19 oil wells. By the way, with royalties going to the high school of over $300,000 a year in most years. And have people turn out with mutations, short life expectancies, ailments that needed to have handicapped extras. Well, here's a few people you might have heard of who attended Beverly Hills High School. Oh my God, look at how they turned out. Handsome Corbin Burns, Albert Brooks, Nicolas Cage, Jamie Lee Curtis, yes, all graduates of Beverly Hills High School. Sean Cassidy, Richard Chamberlain, Barry Diller, one of the richest people in entertainment, Richard Dreyfuss, Bonnie Franklin, Lenny Kravitz, Julie Kavner, Monica Lewinsky, here's my favorite, our new secretary, Alejandro Mayorkas, Beverly Hills High, Andre Previn, Rob Reiner, Peter Schiff, / Tori and Candy Spelling, Kelly Williams, Daniel Yergin, and Betty White. Betty, who until her death at age 99 and a half, was working in the entertainment industry. I don't think she was badly affected by the oil wells that plagued her existence for 4 years in high school, nor has any others. And the list is a lot longer. I just picked the more prominent ones. On the list, only one shows an untimely death, okay? Younger than 60, say. And it was an actor who was killed in World War II. Okay? This use of schools and hospitals is to show sympathy where there's none that should exist. We care for children. We care for ailing people, sure. But not when things aren't even affecting them in the first place. Back to paragraph 1. To the extent that something really is disproportionately affecting any group of people, they're using people of color, shouldn't we be arresting it no matter what? But they don't do that, do they? And finally, they close with that sentence about these people of color are most vulnerable to the negative impacts of climate change. Now, that's a totally different issue than whether drilling itself has anything to do with the health of people around you. This is a sop to some environmental eco-Marxists, eco-terrorists in some French, but most of them are still dainty donors who want to extinguish commerce. Marxists use the environmental movement to dig at almost anything of the status quo. They don't like the status quo of America, so the environmental movement is a way to help bash it down. And they got into the legislature, they got to Gavin Newsom, some of their donors probably helped along the way, and we have on our hands some horrible legislation. You stop drilling in most of California, wait for the $8 per gallon gasoline. Wait for more Teslas to avoid it, but that burns up something even more harmful than fossil fuels from oil. It is coal, where most of our still electric power is still generated. Now, nuclear would be a nice way to harness electric power, but the eco-lobbyists don't seem to like that either, because big business has traditionally been behind electric power and nuclear power. All right, I've spoken enough. You can read forward, but I hope this is sufficient for anyone looking at 0006 to sign, to make sure it's on the ballot in January, and when it's on the ballot, to give it the rousing thumbs up, which means a big thumbs down to Gavin Newsom if he's reelected, and anyone who survives the next ballot as a Democrat in November. I hope they are all swept clean. California is not likely to do this, but we need a clean out. This will help put socialism on the ballot, and hopefully it'll get the media attention it deserves for the abuse of government against ordinary citizens. I'm Mark Stewart. Thanks for listening.